following is brought to you by Cranbrook Television Limited.
Welcome to Round Town.
1978 Sam Steele Days Parade.
1980, there's a period when
Welcome to Rocky Horror.
This is my guest, Roy Orbison.
As per recent notes on Wikipedia, on the static display inside at the West Coast Railway Association at Squamish, BC, preserved is the Royal Hudson, number 2860. And that is where it currently resides. It was the first CPR Hudson built as a Royal Hudson and was one of the last 5 built. Operated excursions 1974 to 1999 and 2006 to 2010. We also have included a video from a YouTube channel called Love All Trains, and some pictures from a Facebook group called, the Royal Hudson number 2860 Fan Club. Next, we hope you enjoy this piece of our past that Mike Turner captured in 1979.
This is Fred Netherton at Cranbrook. I'm talking to Julian Rapps, one of the tour guides with the Good Times Express. How are you enjoying the tour so far?
It's been excellent. We've really traveled a lot of different places so far. We've been down to America, Spokane and Sandpoint, Idaho, and now we're taking a swing through southern British Columbia. We were at Castlegar yesterday and today in Cranbrook. Tomorrow we're off to Fernie, and after that Lethbridge, and I'm certainly looking forward to a good run round.
Where do you go from Lethbridge?
Well, then we got 2 days in Calgary and then back to British Columbia, and I'll sure be glad to get here again. I'm looking forward to the Rockies and going through the pass there. It's going to be a fabulous trip, and I know that the scenery is just going to be really great.
Would you say something about the Good Times Express?
Well, basically what we have in this trip is it's a historical display. There's one car, basically just shows how the people lived in the 1890s when they traveled. And the next 3 cars are museum displays. The first one, a maritime display from the Vancouver Maritime Museum. Then 2 cars, which were from the Provincial Museum in Victoria, both of them on steam technology. And the last car is our special car, the Good Times Express car, which has all kinds of goodies for the people to come in and get relating to tourism British Columbia, the whole operator behind this particular tour. Main purpose is tourism. We're hoping that people in British Columbia will see their own province, enjoy their own province this year, and have a great time in British Columbia.
Could you say something about some of the cars? What, for instance, is in the Nootka Sound car?
Well, the Nootka Sound is basically from the Maritime Museum. They have tried to put together a sort of representative sample of British Columbia maritime history. They have, for example, as you walk in the door, they have a ship's wheel, which is from an old sailing ship. It weighs about 200 pounds. It's quite elaborate, all oak and brass. And then when you go around the corner, there's 2 sailing ships from Captain Vancouver. And on the left-hand side, there's maps showing Vancouver and Captain Cook's exploration and what they saw when they came to the coast, pictures. And when you go a little bit further, on your right is an excellent model of the beaver surrounded by relics of the beaver. And as you move through, you're getting into the middle of the car about this time. You're getting into marine salvage. The Maritime Museum in Vancouver has done a lot of specialized underwater archaeology with a volunteer club, and they have quite a large sample of that through the next section of the car. And then from there, they have a section on the left-hand side, which is basically on the sternwheelers in BC. The sternwheelers in BC were extremely important in British Columbia history and ran all over the province. If there was water to run on, there was a sternwheeler on it, and that's the way they did it. And then from there on, they have a large section on the coastal liners of BC, CP, CN, Union steamships, and then they have a little bit of a chunk on fishing in BC, and they finish up with their big project to date, which is the restoration of 3 vessels. They have the St. Roch, the Thomas F. Baynard, which is a sealing schooner from 1900, and the Master, which is a steam tug, which they're also restoring. It's the only steam tug in British Columbia. And from there you move on to our next car.
And that's the Skeena, isn't it?
Yeah, the Skeena River. Skeena River is a car which starts off the Provincial Museum's cars. Provincial Museum cars are set up first. The first one is in transportation, and the next one is in technology in terms of industry. The Skeena and the next one is in technology in terms of industry. The Skeena has all transportation. The way it's set up basically is, as you walk in, you see this beautiful brass locomotive, about 7 feet long. It's all brass and copper, weighs about 600 pounds, and it was handmade about 1920. And it demonstrates the earliest kind of locomotive used in British Columbia. And from there, as you move through, there's another model of the Beaver. This particular one is, as it was in the 1860s, as a hydrographic vessel. The Beaver was very important in charting the coast of British Columbia. Many areas of the coast were charted by the Beaver, and we represent it in that form as its most important contribution to British Columbia. And we also have another ship model there, the Empress of India. This boat was set up to utilize the bridge route that the CPR created. The CPR was able to undercut every other company from the Hong Kong to London route by putting a ship on one end, a railway in the middle, and another ship on the other end. They pushed the route time down from 6 weeks to 2 weeks with that innovation. So they captured a tremendous trade, both tea, silk, and mail. And that's from there, that section is there. And then we have our section on the sternwheelers of the province. This particular part is just basically model and a few photographs to show the importance of sternwheelers in the interior. And then we have a section on the railways. It's basically a very large diorama on the servicing facilities required for maintaining locomotives. It's basically the roundhouse setup in Victoria. It has a complete setup. The model is basically from 1940, and from there on you move to the next car.
And that's the Kootenay.
Correct. The Kootenay River is a nice car. You start off as you walk in. It has a fish cannery, which is set up from about the 1900 period. Canning in British Columbia was impossible before the advent of steam technology. You couldn't can because they just didn't have the way of preserving the food. It wasn't heated, you see. They needed that steam heat to preserve it. And so that's what happened with that. Fishing in BC was nowhere until about 1870. After that particular display, you go into logging, and there's 3 dioramas dealing with logging. First, the cutting down of the logs by high-lead yarding, then the yarding them out of the hill, out of the bush, and dumping them into a lake. That particular section is a real nice one. Most people think we got frozen water there. And then from there on, we have another section where we show them barging it out. A lot of the lumber in British Columbia was barged down the coast. Our major market is in America, and most of it was barged originally. From there we have a mining display, which isn't complete yet. It's got another piece in it to go in it, but it's a nice display. It's the Cumberland No. 6 mine. It's basically just a diorama, shows a little bit gives people a little idea of what mining was like in 1900, 1910. There's also pictures around that mine and old mining lamps and little bits and artifacts of all kinds, mostly drills and hammers and sorts of things. And from there we have our domestic display. We got an old kitchen stove made by Albion Iron Works, which was made about 1900. It's all cast iron, and it shows the event of secondary industry in British Columbia. Before about 1900, it was just primary. Everybody dug it out of the ground and threw it across the border or sent it elsewhere. But about 1900, we finally started producing our own stuff, and that illustrates the original production. One of the first companies of its kind in British Columbia. And from there, that's the end, and we move on to the good times. Basically the car that tourism has, and where we hand out our good time checkbooks and And we play a little player piano, which is real nice. We got 30 rolls of film, and there's lots of neat pictures of British Columbia in the second half of the car, and that's it. Where she comes out is the end.
Could you say something about the checkbooks?
Well, basically the checkbooks are they're a thing about so big, and they got a lot of discount coupons in them mainly. Various businesses in the province have put together this coupon book. It has discounts in it. It has 2-for-1 specials, free rides, and all kinds of interesting stuff to do. Depending on where you are in the province, you can there's certain sections for every province. I am told there's $2,000 worth of coupons in this book.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Raymond Knowles, and I'm from Galloway, BC, about 35 miles east of here. Go ahead.
I understand that you know some of the history of this area.
Yes, I was born here in 1924 in Cranbrook. My uncle Joe Belanger was the first brakeman on the first train that ever came into Cranbrook in 1898. And on that train was Hugh Brock was the engineer, and Fred Genet was the fireman. Joe Belanger worked here on this CPR and in this station here for some 40 years before he retired. The home he built just west of here, about a half a mile west of here, is still standing, and it's in use today. I'm interested in the history in this area, and I have a good deal of material gathered, quite a bit of papers and a lot of historical books and artifacts from this area.
Have you seen the train yet?
No, I haven't been all the way through the train. I was up and visited the engine and the engineer. I understand that this train engine apparently came through in 1939 through Golden with the King George the Sixth and the Queen.
Did you like the train? Wait, you give me the old one too. Hi, Fred. How you doing?
Very well. This is Julian Campbell, the star of the Good Times Revue. Would you say something about the show that you put on?
You know, the kind of show we do is really lots of fun because we get everybody involved, the children, and the mums and dads. We have sing-along sheets. It's a really a family entertainment. It's all free. That's a nice thing about it. In fact, I thought you were very, very good, Fred. He and I just did a thing together, and he was just tops. Every day we come into any town where we're heading for, the train is open at 10 o'clock in the morning until 9 at night, and then we do the show midway. And the visiting mayor, we give them a plaque, whoever the mayor is, and he becomes an honorary member of an engineer, and that's really cute. They go around with these funny hats on. They look really kind of cute. It's a real good, fun thing, and we're thoroughly enjoying it. We just hope the weather's going to be good, Fred, because if it starts raining, it's a bit dodgy, But we do hope everybody make a point of coming out and seeing the lovely train and seeing our show and participating in it, and go home with a free song sheet. How's about that? Okay?
Just getting Rhubarb?
No, we haven't. We're just going.
You're home.
Talking to George Hannon, one of the engineers of the Good Time Express. Could you say something about the train and the locomotive?
Well, the Good Time Express is operated and handled by a Hudson-type locomotive, the Royal Hudson, 2860. The Royal is attached to the name of Hudson. During 1939, one of the series of this class of an engine pulled the Royal train, and they named all the Hudson-type Hudsons. Now, this engine is a Hudson-type engine, the steam pressure 275 pounds, and we handle the train. We operate the train on the entire tour. We've been asked questions several times as to why we have a diesel engine with us. We have the diesel engine for two purposes. Water is not available along the railways today on account of all the water services haven't been removed. So we have to use the diesel to save our water. What we do, we generally work a light throttle and work the diesel. Secondly, the diesel is required on many hills on account of gradients over the railway. We visit many towns on our tour, and this tour is a very good public relation. It's greatly received at all points, and when the people pass through the cab, the engine, they're enthused and excited, and of course they ask a lot of questions. They want to know about the engine, and we explain as we can in a brief moment the operation of the engine and why the tour is conducted, and we're received greatly in all towns. We were down to Spokane and Sandpoint, and it was just astonishing the enjoyment those people received out of the train. Many of them went through the cab, shook our hand and thanked us for making the trip. And this is where the train is received on all tours.
I imagine there's a lot of old railroad men who come back to see the steam locomotive.
Every point we make, regardless you are, you meet railway men, all classes, engine men, shop men, trainmen, any man that worked for railroad, they're all interested. And a steam engine seems to attract people. And it does attract particularly mechanical men. They like to get back and renew their memories. And it's just something that they don't miss if they can help it.
You're a retired CPR engineer yourself, aren't you?
No, I'm retired off the Canadian National Railways. I was an engineer and I retired as a transportation officer.
How long ago was it that the steam locomotive was used?
I'm not certain about the CPR, but the last steam engine operated on the Canadian National Railways and the Pacific region was a Santa Fe type engine, the 4309, arriving in Kamloops in the early part of September 1957, and that was the last steam engine operated in the Pacific region of the Canadian National Railways.
Hey, stop! Do you know how to make them disappear? Yeah, but Dennis, come here, stand with me.
Whoa, we're doing all the PR for
Before you leave, please subscribe to our channel. It will not only help you stay up to date with our videos, it will also be a nice way to show your support for the volunteers who make this project possible. Thanks for watching, and please tune in again.